Copyright 2024. All rights reserved, Grace Groath. The content of this book may not be reproduced, duplicated, or transmitted without the direct written permission of the author or the publisher. Under no circumstances shall the publisher or the author be held liable for any damages, compensation, or financial losses resulting from the information contained in this book, whether directly or indirectly. Legal notice. This book is protected by copyright. It is intended for personal use only. You may not modify, distribute, sell, use, quote, or paraphrase any part or content of this book without the consent of the author or publisher. Disclaimer. Please note that the information contained in this book is for educational purposes and is not intended to replace actual therapy or instructions provided by a personal therapist. Every effort has been made to present accurate, up-to-date, reliable, and complete information. This book does not constitute medical advice. Please consult your general practitioner, therapist, or other mental health professionals for personalized medical advice. No warranties of any kind, either express or implied, are made. Readers acknowledge that the author does not provide legal, financial, medical, or professional advice. The content of this book comes from various sources. Please consult a licensed professional before attempting any technique described in this book. By reading this document, the reader agrees that the author is in no way responsible for any losses, direct or indirect, resulting from the use of the information contained in this document, including, but not limited to, errors, omissions, or inaccuracies. Clingy no more. How to transform your anxious attachment style into a secure relationship, guided journaling and practical exercises. By Grace Groath. Thank you for being here. Your journey is powerful, and every challenge you faced can now become a beacon for someone still finding their way. By sharing your story, you are not just leaving a review, you are offering others the gift of courage and hope. With gratitude, follow the QR code to let your words light up someone else's path. A year from now, you may wish you had started today. Karen Lamb. Author's preface. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. Jon Kabat-Zinn. When I first began exploring the concept of anxious attachment, I never anticipated how profoundly personal this journey would become. What started as a way to understand patterns in relationships quickly became a path to self-discovery, healing, and growth. Like many of you, I've faced moments of doubt, fear, and uncertainty in connections with others. Relationships can bring so much joy, yet at the same time, they can expose our deepest vulnerabilities. This book was born out of those very struggles, out of a desire not only to make sense of attachment patterns, but also to help others navigate theirs. In moments of doubt, I realized that I wasn't alone. Many people wrestle with anxious attachment, often without realizing it. We may feel a deep need for reassurance, closeness, and security, but struggle with the constant fear of rejection or abandonment. I've learned firsthand how paralyzing these feelings can be, and I understand how easy it is to fall into cycles of behavior that reinforce the very fears we're trying to avoid. My hope is that this book can be a companion, offering both comfort and clarity, and guiding you toward healthier, more secure relationships. This book isn't just about offering tools and strategies, although you will find many practical techniques within these pages. It's about more than that. It's a guide for anyone ready to confront the parts of themselves that might feel overwhelming or uncomfortable. In fact, it's often those very parts that hold the key to true healing. You'll find exercises that ask you to reflect on your past, your triggers, and your behaviors. And while this may be difficult at times, I encourage you to approach it with self-compassion. Healing isn't about fixing ourselves because we are not broken. It's about rediscovering wholeness, peeling back the layers of fear and anxiety to reveal the secure, grounded self within. The techniques shared in this book are not just theoretical concepts, they are methods I have personally practiced, refined, and found transformative in my own life. These exercises are designed to help you rewire the patterns that anxious attachment has woven into your relationships, guiding you toward healthier, more secure interactions with others. You may feel at times that progress is slow or that setbacks are a sign of failure, but I want to assure you, setbacks are not the opposite of progress. They are part of the process. Healing is not a linear journey, and every challenge is another opportunity to strengthen the skills you've developed. Healing is not about achieving some perfect state where you are free from all anxiety or doubt. That's not the goal. Life will continue to bring its share of ups and downs, and there will always be moments of uncertainty. The real work is learning to navigate these moments with greater awareness, with more compassion toward yourself and others, and with the confidence that you have the tools to handle whatever comes your way. Healing is about growth, resilience, and the ability to sit with discomfort without letting it define you. As you move through these pages, remember that you are not alone in this process. So many of us are on this journey of self-discovery and healing. Each step, no matter how small, is a victory. Sometimes the most profound changes come from the smallest shifts in perspective or behavior. Celebrate those moments. Give yourself permission to take your time. There is no rush to fix yourself because you are not broken. You are simply learning to relate to yourself and others in a healthier, more balanced way. This journey may not always be easy. There may be moments when you feel like giving up, moments when you fall back into old patterns or doubt whether change is really possible, but I can assure you, it is. With each step forward, you are building new pathways, rewiring old habits, and creating a foundation for a more secure, fulfilling life. The progress you make may feel subtle at first, but over time, you will see how far you've come. Thank you for allowing me to share this path with you. It's a privilege to walk alongside you on this journey, and I hope that the insights and exercises in this book empower you to build the relationships and the life that you truly deserve. Remember, healing is not a destination, but a continuous process of growth. Every step forward, no matter how small, is progress, and every day you have the chance to move closer to the security, peace, and connection that you are seeking. Navigating the waters of our emotions. As I reflected on how to best explain the experience of anxious attachment, I kept returning to the image of the ocean. Much like the tides, our emotions rise and fall, sometimes calm and soothing, other times powerful and overwhelming. The waves mirror the way we navigate our relationships. Moments of connection and security can suddenly be swept away by fears of rejection or abandonment. This ebb and flow can feel uncontrollable at times, but just as we cannot stop the tides, we can learn to move with them. The metaphor of the sea allows us to see that while the waves of emotion will come, we have the ability to surf, to navigate the highs and lows with greater awareness and resilience. I chose this imagery because it reflects the nature of healing. It's not about still waters all the time, but about trusting that, no matter how rough the seas get, calmness always returns. Introduction: Your journey to healing and growth. The only journey is the one within. Rainer Maria Rilke. Attachment styles are the unseen forces that influence how we connect with others, shaping our relationships and emotional experiences. These patterns, rooted in our earliest interactions with caregivers, play a crucial role in determining how secure we feel, how much we trust, and how we navigate our relationships throughout life. By understanding these attachment styles, whether secure, anxious, avoidant, or disorganized, you open the door to meaningful change in both your relationships and your personal growth. Before we dive in, let's briefly explore what these attachment styles mean. A secure attachment is often seen as the ideal. If you have a secure attachment, you likely feel confident in your relationships, comfortable with intimacy, and able to trust others. You express your needs and emotions openly, trusting that others will be there for you. Anxious attachment, which is the focus of this book, is characterized by a deep fear of abandonment and an overwhelming need for closeness and validation. These fears can lead to behaviors that may push others away, like being overly clingy or constantly seeking reassurance. Avoidant attachment involves keeping others at arm's length, often due to a fear of losing independence or being overwhelmed by emotional demands. If you have an avoidant style, intimacy might feel uncomfortable, leading you to rely more on yourself than on others. Disorganized attachment is the most complex, often stemming from traumatic or chaotic early experiences. Those with this style might display a confusing mix of behaviors, sometimes seeking closeness, only to push others away soon after. Understanding these styles isn't just about gaining insight. It's about recognizing the patterns that might be holding you back. This understanding is your first step toward healing and personal growth. This book is designed to guide you on that journey. It's not only about understanding anxious attachment, but also about equipping you with the tools and strategies to break free from the cycles of anxiety, insecurity, and fear. Through practical exercises, reflection questions, and real-life examples, you'll learn actionable ways to build healthier, more secure relationships. Each chapter builds upon the last, taking you step by step through a process of self-discovery and healing. We'll start by exploring the roots of anxious attachment and how it manifests in your relationships. As you progress, you'll learn how to manage the symptoms, like hypervigilance and fear of abandonment, using mindfulness, emotional regulation techniques, and boundary-setting strategies that foster a more secure sense of self. The book also delves into broader relationship dynamics, such as navigating relationships with avoidant partners and understanding the role of healthy detachment. These sections are enriched with expert insights and backed by research, giving you a comprehensive understanding of these topics. Throughout this journey, you'll find exercises that encourage active participation, helping you internalize the concepts and apply them to your life. Reflection questions at the end of each chapter are designed to deepen your understanding and prompt critical thinking about your experiences and the changes you wish to make. Real-life examples are woven throughout the book to illustrate the challenges and successes that come with healing anxious attachment. These stories act as both a mirror and a guide, offering relatable situations that demonstrate how the techniques presented can be applied in everyday life. The final chapters focus on maintaining your progress and building a supportive network, offering long-term strategies to sustain the positive changes you've made. The journey doesn't end with the last page. This book is meant to be a lifelong companion, a resource you can turn to whenever you need guidance or reassurance. As you embark on this journey, remember that healing is a process, not a destination. There will be challenges, but with patience, self-compassion, and the tools provided in this book, you can move toward a more secure, confident, and fulfilling way of relating to yourself and others. Let's start this transformative journey together. Quiz. Discover your attachment style and your partner's style. The most difficult thing in life is to know yourself. Thales of Miletus. Before we dive deeper into the concepts and strategies that will help you overcome anxious attachment, it's essential to first understand where you currently stand. This quiz is designed to help you identify your own attachment style, as well as that of your partner. By gaining clarity on these patterns, you'll be better equipped to navigate the content of this book and apply the insights to your personal circumstances. Approach each question thoughtfully, as the results will offer a personalized framework for your journey towards emotional independence. Whether you discover that your attachment style is secure, anxious, avoidant, or a combination of these, the knowledge you gain here will serve as a valuable foundation for the work ahead. This quiz is more than just a set of questions. It's a starting point for transformation. As you progress through the book, keep your results in mind, using them to guide your reflections and actions. Now, let's begin this important step toward understanding and reshaping the dynamics in your relationships. To take the quiz, turn to page 7. Gaining clarity on your attachment style is the first empowering step toward lasting emotional freedom. Chapter 1: Understanding Anxious Attachment. The way we attach to others will affect our relationships for the rest of our lives. Dr. Sue Johnson. Defining anxious attachment. Anxious attachment feels like constantly needing reassurance and closeness while being haunted by the fear of being abandoned or rejected. If this sounds familiar, you might often find yourself caught up in your relationships, always looking for validation to feel secure. This emotional roller coaster, where your feelings swing depending on how stable your relationships seem, can be draining, not just for you, but for those you care about too. At its core, anxious attachment is driven by a fear that your emotional needs won't be met. This fear can show up in ways you might recognize, like clinging to your partner, depending on them too much, or needing constant communication to feel okay. You might find yourself constantly looking for signs that your partner still loves you, interpreting even small changes in their behavior as signs that they might be pulling away. It's a tough cycle to break, but recognizing it is the first step toward understanding and eventually changing these patterns. For example, if your partner takes longer than usual to respond to your texts, you might immediately think the worst, that they're losing interest or that your relationship is in trouble. This worry can lead to anxious behaviors, like sending multiple follow-up messages, seeking constant reassurance, or even getting upset or angry for no clear reason. Over time, these actions can put a strain on your relationship, sometimes pushing your partner away and creating the very situation you fear the most. Manifestations across different relationships. Anxious attachment doesn't just show up in romantic relationships. It can affect friendships, family ties, and even professional interactions. Let's take a closer look at how it might be playing out in different areas of your life. Romantic relationships. In romantic relationships, anxious attachment often leads to behaviors that might come across as clingy or overly dependent. You might find it hard to give your partner space, worrying that time apart will create distance between you. Trust can be a struggle too, leading you to frequently question your partner's feelings or intentions. Friendships. In friendships, those with anxious attachment might constantly worry about being left out or not being as close to their friends as they'd like. This can lead to behaviors like always being the one to initiate contact or going out of your way to do favors for friends, even when it's inconvenient for you. Family dynamics. Within families, anxious attachment can show up as a strong need for approval and validation from family members. You might feel anxious if you think you're not meeting their expectations or find yourself overly sensitive to criticism. Professional interactions. At work, anxious attachment might make it difficult to assert yourself or set boundaries. You might take on more work than you can handle because you're afraid of disappointing your colleagues or supervisors, or you might avoid asking for help, worrying that it will make you look weak. In today's world, technology and social media can make these challenges even harder. For example, waiting for a response to a text can trigger anxiety, leading you to overanalyze the delay, wondering if you've done something wrong or if your partner is upset. Social media can add to the mix by fostering feelings of comparison and jealousy. Seeing your partner or friend interact with others online might make you feel insecure or inadequate, driving you to seek more reassurance or become more controlling in your relationships. Tracing the roots in childhood. Understanding where anxious attachment comes from is key to addressing and healing it. It often starts in early childhood, particularly in our relationships with our primary caregivers. By looking back at these early experiences, you can gain valuable insights into the behaviors and fears that show up in your relationships today. Psychologist John Bowlby's attachment theory explains that the bonds we form with our caregivers in infancy and early childhood have a huge impact on our emotional development and how we approach relationships later in life. For those with anxious attachment, early caregiving experiences were likely marked by inconsistency and unpredictability. Think about a child who sometimes gets affection and attention from their caregiver, but other times faces emotional distance, neglect, or even anger. This kind of inconsistency creates uncertainty and insecurity, leading the child to constantly seek reassurance and validation. Over time, the child becomes hypervigilant, always watching for signs that their caregiver is available or not. They cling tightly to their caregiver, fearing that any separation could lead to permanent abandonment. This pattern, seeking closeness while fearing rejection, can become deeply ingrained and shape how they approach relationships as they grow up. Some parenting styles are more likely to contribute to the development of an anxious attachment style. Let's briefly explore them. Overprotective parenting. Parents who provide excessive care and attention may unintentionally teach their child that the world is a dangerous place, making them feel like they always need protection. This can lead to an anxious attachment style where the person feels overly dependent on others for safety and security. Neglectful parenting. On the opposite end, neglectful or emotionally unavailable parents may fail to provide the emotional support and affection a child needs. This creates a deep fear of abandonment, causing the child to cling desperately to any source of affection they find later in life. Inconsistent parenting. When parents are inconsistent, sometimes available and loving, other times distant or preoccupied, the child learns to be hypervigilant and anxious about when their needs will be met. This inconsistency is often at the root of anxious attachment. Turn to page and engage with the reflection questions, understanding anxious attachment. Approach them with honesty to gain deeper insight into yourself. Chapter 2, Causes of Anxious Attachment. Your past is just a story, and once you realize this, it has no power over you. Oprah Winfrey. Expanding on the foundations. In the first chapter, we touched on how anxious attachment often takes root in early childhood, especially when caregiving is inconsistent. Now, it's time to dig deeper. While those early experiences are pivotal, they're not the only forces at play. This chapter will expand on the idea of inconsistent caregiving, exploring how sibling relationships, cultural norms, and broader social factors also contribute to the development of anxious attachment. By understanding these various influences, you'll gain a clearer picture of how your attachment style has been shaped over time. Revisiting inconsistent caregiving. Let's revisit inconsistent caregiving, a major factor in developing anxious attachment. When caregivers are unpredictable, responding to a child's needs one moment and ignoring them the next, it creates a sense of uncertainty. This uncertainty can lead a child to become hypervigilant, always on the lookout for reassurance. While we've covered this before, it's important to see how other family dynamics can either amplify or lessen this effect. The role of siblings and family dynamics. Sibling relationships can significantly shape how attachment styles develop. If you grew up in a family where one sibling was favored over another, you might have felt a deep need to earn approval and affection. This can create feelings of inadequacy and competition that don't just disappear when you grow up. They follow you into adulthood, affecting how you relate to others. Dr. Judy Dunn, an expert on sibling relationships, points out that rivalry and perceived favoritism can have a lasting impact on a child's self-esteem and sense of security. If you constantly felt overlooked in your family, it's no surprise if you carry a fear of being undervalued into your adult relationships. Social context and cultural influences. Culture and society also play huge roles in shaping attachment styles. In some cultures, the emphasis on interdependence and collective well-being can help mitigate the effects of inconsistent caregiving by ensuring a child's needs are met by a network of caregivers. On the flip side, if you grew up in a culture where emotional expression was discouraged, you might struggle to form secure attachments due to a lack of emotional support. Dr. Susan Johnson's work in attachment theory highlights how cultural norms can either support or hinder the development of secure attachments. If you were raised in an environment where showing emotions was seen as a weakness, you might find it difficult to feel truly understood or supported in your relationships. Dr. Mary Ainsworth, who expanded on Bowlby's foundational work, emphasized that social and economic stressors can make forming secure attachments even more challenging. When families face financial difficulties or social isolation, it becomes harder to provide consistent emotional support, which can lead to increased anxiety in children. Economic pressures, long working hours, and lack of access to childcare can all contribute to inconsistent caregiving. These factors create an environment where parents might not be as emotionally available as they want to be, inadvertently leading to the development of anxious attachment in their children. Revisiting the concept of inconsistent caregiving might seem repetitive, but it's crucial. Attachment styles aren't formed by one factor alone. They result from a combination of influences. By exploring these different dimensions, you can start to understand why anxious attachment develops and why it looks different in everyone. Turn to page 22 and engage with the reflection questions, recognizing symptoms and behaviors. Approach them with honesty to gain deeper insight into yourself. Chapter 3: Recognizing Symptoms and Behaviors. The first step toward change is awareness. Nathaniel Branden. In the previous chapters, we've laid the groundwork by exploring where anxious attachment comes from and how it shows up in different types of relationships. Now, it's time to dive deeper into the specific symptoms and behaviors that define anxious attachment. This chapter is all about recognizing these behaviors in your daily life. By understanding how they manifest, you can start identifying them in your own experiences, giving you a solid starting point for the healing work we'll tackle later in the book. Whether it's the constant vigilance that keeps you on edge, the fear of being abandoned that drives your actions, or the habit of reading too much into things, this chapter will help you recognize and eventually challenge these patterns. Hypervigilance in relationships. One of the most exhausting symptoms of anxious attachment is hypervigilance. This means you're always on high alert, constantly monitoring your partner's every move, word, and action for any sign that something's wrong. This behavior stems from a deep fear of losing the relationship. When you're hypervigilant, even the smallest change in your partner's behavior, a delayed text, a distracted tone, or a missed call, can send your mind into overdrive. You might find yourself obsessively analyzing these interactions, searching for hidden meanings or signs that your partner is unhappy with you. This hyper-awareness can make it nearly impossible to relax and trust that the relationship is secure. Picture this: you're having dinner with your partner, and they seem a bit quieter than usual. Instead of thinking, maybe they're just tired, your mind jumps to worst-case scenarios. Did I do something wrong? Are they upset with me? Is our relationship falling apart? You might start asking your partner repeatedly if everything is okay, even after they assure you that it is. This need for constant reassurance, driven by hypervigilance, can create tension and might even push your partner away, ironically, leading to the very situation you're trying to prevent. Hypervigilance is exhausting not just for you, but also for your partner. They might feel like they're under constant scrutiny or pressure to reassure you, which can gradually erode the trust and intimacy that are vital for a healthy relationship. Managing hypervigilance means learning to trust your partner and the relationship, and it involves developing strategies to calm your mind when it starts spiraling into anxious thoughts. Techniques like mindfulness, cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, and grounding exercises can be incredibly helpful. We'll explore these in more detail in later chapters, but for now, know that these tools can help you recognize when you're being hypervigilant and give you the power to redirect your focus and soothe your anxieties. Fear of abandonment and rejection. The fear of being abandoned or rejected is at the heart of anxious attachment, shaping how you view and engage in your relationships. This anxiety about potential loss can become the driving force behind your interactions. In relationships, this fear shows up in many ways, all aimed at avoiding the pain of rejection. For those with anxious attachment, even the smallest changes in your partner's behavior or mood can set off intense worry. A text that takes a bit longer to get a reply, a slight shift in tone, or your partner wanting some personal space can all feel like signs that they're pulling away. This constant vigilance keeps you on edge, always bracing for a breakup or rejection that might not even be on the horizon. But this fear doesn't just weigh on you. It can put a serious strain on your relationship too. Your partner might feel like they have to walk on eggshells, careful not to trigger your fears. Over time, this dynamic can lead to frustration and resentment. Your partner may feel like everything they do is being scrutinized or misinterpreted, which can be exhausting for both of you. Ironically, the behaviors driven by your fear, like constantly seeking reassurance, being clingy, or reacting emotionally, can push your partner away. The very actions meant to keep them close can end up driving a wedge between you, reinforcing your fear of abandonment and making you feel even more insecure. Living with a constant fear of abandonment takes a heavy emotional toll. It can lead to chronic insecurity, low self-esteem, and a persistent feeling that you're not worthy of love. This fear can trap you in a cycle of anxiety and self-doubt, where you're always questioning your value and worthiness in your partner's eyes. The fear of rejection can grow so overwhelming that it overshadows all the good parts of your relationship, leaving you in a state of constant unease. But here's the thing. While the fear of abandonment is a central part of anxious attachment, it doesn't have to control your life. The first step in dealing with this fear is to acknowledge it and understand where it comes from. Recognizing that these fears are rooted in past experiences, not in your current reality, can help you start to challenge and reframe them. Remember, these fears, while powerful, don't define who you are or the potential of your relationships. Overinterpretation of signals. If you have an anxious attachment style, you might find yourself constantly overinterpreting your partner's actions, words, or even their silence. This tendency is fueled by a deep-rooted fear of abandonment and an ever-present sense of vigilance for potential threats to your relationship. While it's natural to be attuned to your partner's behavior, overinterpreting can lead to misunderstandings, unnecessary anxiety, and even conflict. What is overinterpretation? Overinterpretation happens when you read too much into your partner's behavior, often attributing negative meanings to neutral or ambiguous actions. For instance, imagine your partner sends a simple "good-night" text without the usual heart emoji. Instead of seeing it as just a message, you might start worrying that they're upset or losing interest. Similarly, if they seem distracted during a conversation, you might immediately think you've done something wrong, even though they could just be preoccupied with work or other concerns. Cognitive biases often play a big role in this overinterpretation. One common bias is confirmation bias, where you focus on anything that seems to confirm your fears. In the context of anxious attachment, this means you might latch onto behaviors that seem like signs of rejection, while ignoring all the positive signals your partner is giving. For example, if you fear your partner is losing interest, A delayed text response could feel like proof of this, even though there could be many harmless reasons for the delay. Meanwhile, you might overlook other actions that show they still care. Another bias at play is catastrophizing, where you imagine the worst possible outcome from a minor issue. A neutral tone during a phone call could make you fear an impending breakup, even if there's no real evidence to support that fear. This kind of catastrophic thinking only increases your anxiety, leading you to overinterpret more and react in ways that strain the relationship. Consider Sarah, who has an anxious attachment style. When her partner John doesn't respond to her texts as quickly as usual, she starts to worry. Instead of thinking that John might just be busy at work, Sarah's mind jumps to conclusions like, what if he's upset with me? What if he's losing interest? This leads her to send multiple anxious follow-up messages. By the time John replies, Sarah is already convinced there's a problem, even though John was simply caught up in a meeting. This cycle of overinterpretation and anxiety puts unnecessary strain on their relationship. Or take Michael, who also has an anxious attachment style. At a social gathering, he sees his girlfriend Emma laughing and chatting with another guest. Instead of viewing this as a normal social interaction, Michael begins to worry that Emma might be more interested in the other person. He spends the rest of the evening feeling jealous and insecure, pulling away from Emma in response. Later, when they talk about it, Michael's overinterpretation creates tension between them, making Emma feel misunderstood and Michael even more insecure. Research supports that people with anxious attachment are more likely to engage in what's known as anxious hyperactivation, where they focus intensely on potential relationship threats. A study by Mikulincer and Shaver, 2007, found that individuals with anxious attachment often perceive their partner's behaviors as more negative and threatening than they actually are. This heightened sensitivity to rejection or abandonment can increase stress and conflict in relationships. Another study by Campbell, Simpson, Bouldry, and Kashi, 2005, showed that those with anxious attachment are more likely to interpret their partner's actions through a negative lens, often assuming that ambiguous behaviors signal relationship problems. This skewed perception can lead to a self-fulfilling prophecy. Your anxious behavior, based on these interpretations, can create the very issues you fear. The constant overinterpretation of signals can be emotionally exhausting. Being on high alert all the time drains your energy and can lead to chronic stress and anxiety. This perpetual state of vigilance makes it hard to fully enjoy your relationship because you're always on guard, anticipating potential rejection or abandonment. Over time, this can lead to burnout, depression, and a deep sense of emotional exhaustion. Compulsive caretaking and people-pleasing. If you find yourself constantly putting others' needs ahead of your own, often at the cost of your own well-being, you might be dealing with compulsive caretaking and people-pleasing. These behaviors are common in those with anxious attachment and often stem from a deep fear of abandonment. While it's natural to care for others, when this becomes a compulsion, it can create unhealthy dynamics in your relationships and take a significant toll on your mental and emotional health. What is compulsive caretaking? Compulsive caretaking is when you feel the need to go above and beyond for others, often neglecting your own needs in the process. If you have an anxious attachment style, you might believe that constantly proving your worth through acts of service is the only way to be loved and accepted. This underlying fear of rejection or abandonment drives you to continuously care for others, even when it exhausts you. This behavior might show up as always putting your partner's needs before your own. Maybe you take on the bulk of the household chores, manage your partner's emotional ups and downs, or regularly make sacrifices just to keep the peace. While these actions might seem noble, over time, they can lead to burnout and resentment as your own needs go unmet. People-pleasing is closely tied to compulsive caretaking. It involves an overwhelming desire to make others happy and avoid conflict at all costs. If you struggle with anxious attachment, you might find it hard to assert your own needs and desires because you fear disapproval or rejection. This can lead to you suppressing your opinions, agreeing to things you don't really want to do, or stretching yourself too thin to accommodate others. The constant drive to please others can make you lose touch with your own identity as you become more focused on meeting other people's expectations than on honoring your own values and preferences. This can create a damaging dynamic where you feel perpetually drained and unfulfilled, while others may become overly reliant on your caretaking. Let's look at Emily, for example. She has an anxious attachment style and goes out of her way to ensure her partner is always happy and comfortable. Emily handles most of the household responsibilities, often staying up late to finish chores or make everything perfect for him. When her partner is stressed, she drops everything to offer emotional support, even when she's exhausted herself. Although her partner appreciates her efforts, over time, Emily starts to feel resentful because her own needs are consistently ignored. Now consider James, who tends to be a people pleaser. In his friendships, James often agrees to plans and activities he doesn't enjoy simply to keep the peace and avoid disappointing others. When friends ask for favors, he finds it difficult to say no, even if it disrupts his schedule or causes him stress. Over time, this behavior takes a toll on James's mental health. He feels increasingly overwhelmed and underappreciated, but can't assert his boundaries out of fear of losing his friends. Research shows that people with anxious attachment are more likely to engage in caretaking and people-pleasing as a way to manage their fear of abandonment. A study by Feeney and Collins, 2001, found that individuals with anxious attachment often use hyperactivating strategies, like excessive caregiving and over-attending to others' needs, as a way to maintain closeness and secure their relationships. However, these behaviors often lead to an imbalance where your own needs are constantly neglected. Another study by Rolls, Simpson, and Friedman, 2006, explored the dynamics of caregiving in relationships and found that those with anxious attachment are more likely to engage in caregiving behaviors even when they're not reciprocated. This creates a cycle where you continue to give more and more in hopes of securing love and approval. But in the process, you become increasingly depleted and resentful as your own needs remain unmet. The emotional cost of compulsive caretaking and people-pleasing can be significant. Constantly caring for others can lead to chronic stress, burnout, and a feeling of being overwhelmed. This behavior often goes unrecognized or unappreciated by others, leading to feelings of resentment, frustration, and emotional exhaustion. Over time, you may start to believe that your value is tied solely to your ability to care for others, which can diminish your sense of self-worth. It's also important to recognize how societal and cultural influences reinforce these behaviors. In many cultures, particularly those with traditional gender roles, women are often socialized to be caregivers and prioritize others' needs over their own. This can intensify the tendency toward compulsive caretaking and people-pleasing, especially for women with anxious attachment. By understanding these broader influences, you can begin to see the external pressures contributing to your behavior and empower yourself to challenge these norms. Flip to page and take a moment to work through the reflection questions. These exercises will help you recognize important patterns in the way you connect with others. 6-pack exercise. Challenging automatic thoughts. The 6-pack exercise is a cognitive technique designed to help you challenge automatic, often negative, interpretations of situations, especially those influenced by anxious attachment. When you find yourself jumping to conclusions or assuming the worst about a partner's behavior, this exercise encourages you to come up with 6 alternative explanations for their actions. The goal is to break the cycle of anxiety by recognizing that there are many possible reasons for someone's behavior, and that your initial interpretation might not be the most accurate or helpful one. By practicing this exercise, you can develop a more balanced and realistic perspective, reducing the power of anxious thoughts. How to do it. Identify a situation where you felt anxious or insecure because of your partner's behavior. Write down your automatic thought or assumption, e.g., they didn't reply to my text because they're losing interest. Come up with 6 alternative explanations for their behavior. Reflect on how each alternative explanation challenges your initial assumption. Examples. First scenario, your partner didn't reply to your text for several hours. Automatic thought, they're ignoring me because they don't care anymore. Alternative explanations. They might be busy at work. Their phone battery could have died. They might be in a meeting or with someone where they can't use their phone. They might be taking some time to gather their thoughts before replying. They could be having a bad day and need some space. They may not have noticed the message yet. Second scenario, your partner canceled plans to spend time together. Automatic thought, they don't want to be with me anymore. Alternative explanations. They might be feeling overwhelmed and need some time alone. An unexpected obligation might have come up. They could be tired and not feeling up to socializing. They might want to reschedule for a time when they can be more present. They could be dealing with something personal that has nothing to do with you. They might be preparing a surprise and need some extra time. By using the 6-pack exercise regularly, you can start to shift your thinking patterns, reducing the intensity of anxious thoughts, and building a more secure and positive outlook in your relationships. It's your turn. Head to page 43 and dive into the exercise waiting for you. Chapter 4. Healing Anxious Attachment. What we don't acknowledge owns us. Brené Brown. Healing from anxious attachment is a journey that requires both self-awareness and intentional effort. In this chapter, we'll start laying the groundwork for this healing process. We'll begin with foundational steps like recognizing your personal needs and setting boundaries, essential elements to kickstart your transformation. These steps are just the beginning, though. In the next chapter, we'll dive deeper into techniques like mindfulness, emotional regulation skills, and the power of building a supportive network. These practices will help sustain your progress in the long run. Step-by-step healing process. Healing anxious attachment isn't a straightforward path. It's a series of purposeful steps that help you move from anxiety-driven behaviors to more secure ways of relating to yourself and others. Here's a step-by-step process to guide your journey toward a healthier attachment style. Recognizing the impact of anxious attachment. The first step is to take a close look at how anxious attachment has influenced your life. Reflect on your past and present relationships, your emotional patterns, and the ways this attachment style has shaped your interactions. Understanding its impact helps you pinpoint the areas where change is necessary. If you haven't yet answered the reflection questions at the end of the previous chapters, now is a great time to do so. Committing to change. Healing requires a firm commitment to change. This means being ready to face uncomfortable emotions, challenge long-standing beliefs, and embrace new behaviors that support your well-being. Approach this process with kindness toward yourself, recognizing that while change can be difficult, it's essential for your growth. Building self-awareness. Self-awareness is the foundation of healing. By becoming more in tune with your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, you can start identifying the triggers and patterns that keep anxious attachment alive. This self-awareness will be your guiding light as we explore more specific healing techniques in the next chapter. Seeking support. You don't have to go through this alone. Surrounding yourself with a supportive network, whether it's friends, family, or professionals, can provide the encouragement and guidance you need. In Chapter 5, we'll talk more about how to build and rely on this support system effectively. Identifying and honoring personal needs. One of the biggest challenges for those with anxious attachment is learning to identify and honor their own needs. The fear of abandonment or rejection often leads to focusing on others' needs at the expense of your own. But recognizing and prioritizing your needs is crucial for developing a more secure attachment style. In this section, We'll explore how to start this process of self-discovery and self-care. We'll look at the importance of understanding your emotional and physical needs, setting realistic expectations for yourself and others, and how these practices contribute to your overall healing journey. Before moving forward, take a moment to reflect. You've spent so much time tuning into others. Now, turn inward. This is about you, your needs, your truth. Let it surface, without judgment. What do you truly need to feel safe, valued, and fulfilled? Are there aspects of your life where your needs often take a back seat? Let these thoughts surface naturally. There's no need to rush or write them down just yet. Simply acknowledging them is the first step toward change. Reflecting on personal needs. Begin by reflecting on what you need to feel safe, valued, and loved. Think about both your emotional needs, like security, respect, and affection, and your physical needs, like rest, nourishment, and physical activity. This reflection is the foundation for your journey towards self-care. Recognizing unmet needs. Often, those with anxious attachment are so focused on meeting others' needs that they neglect their own. Take a moment to identify areas, situations, or relationships in your life where your needs are not being met. Recognizing these gaps is the first step toward making necessary changes. This exercise is designed to help you identify and prioritize your core needs in relationships. By gaining clarity on what truly matters to you, you can start making choices and setting boundaries that honor those needs. This is a crucial step in healing from anxious attachment, as it empowers you to take control of your emotional well-being and fosters healthier, more balanced relationships. As you work through this exercise, you'll not only learn more about yourself, but also how to express your needs in a way that others can understand and respect. This self-awareness and assertiveness are key components in transforming your relationships and developing a more secure attachment style. Now go to page 47 and engage with the Identifying and Honoring Personal Needs exercise. This step will help you develop a clearer understanding of what truly matters to you. Exercise. Setting healthy boundaries. Boundaries are a cornerstone of any healthy relationship. Yet for those with anxious attachment, establishing them can feel particularly daunting. The fear of losing someone or damaging the relationship might lead you to overextend yourself, neglect your own needs, or even tolerate behavior that crosses your limits. However, learning to set and maintain healthy boundaries is essential for your healing journey and for building secure, respectful relationships. Boundaries help you define where you end and another person begins. They are key to preserving your identity, safeguarding your emotional and physical well-being, and fostering mutual respect in your relationships. Remember, setting boundaries isn't about shutting people out or distancing yourself from them. It's about creating a safe and respectful space for yourself within your relationships, ensuring that both your needs and those of others are honored. Exercise instructions. Defining and communicating your boundaries in a romantic relationship. The goal of this exercise is to help you identify and define your personal boundaries within a romantic relationship and to communicate these boundaries assertively to your partner, considering the specific challenges that come with having an anxious attachment style. As you turn to page 50, keep this in mind. Setting boundaries, when you have an anxious attachment style, requires courage and self-compassion. This exercise will help you find a balance between your need for closeness and the importance of maintaining your individuality, including through the communication of your needs. Over time, you'll discover that setting boundaries not only improves your well-being, but also strengthens your romantic relationship, making it more respectful and supportive for both partners. You've just taken some important steps on your journey toward healing by focusing on self-awareness, recognizing your personal needs, and learning to set boundaries. You're laying a solid foundation for change. These aren't just steps. They're powerful tools that will help you move from an anxious attachment style toward more secure, fulfilling relationships. This journey isn't just about feeling better, it's about transforming your emotional life, one step at a time. Keep moving forward, and you'll find yourself closer to the balanced, fulfilling relationships you deserve. Chapter 5: Practical Techniques for Healing. Success is the sum of small efforts, repeated day in and day out. Robert Collier. Understanding anxious attachment is just the first step. To truly heal, you need to take action and apply what you've learned in a way that transforms your daily life. This chapter is all about practical techniques that will help you manage anxiety, regulate your emotions, and relate to others in healthier, more fulfilling ways. These practices are designed to build on the insights you've gained so far, giving you concrete tools to work with as you continue your healing journey. The techniques you'll find here aren't just about coping, they're about real transformation. They aim to change how you relate to yourself and others, guiding you toward a more secure attachment style. As you work through these exercises, remember that they're specifically tailored to the challenges of anxious attachment. Each one is designed to help you build resilience, develop self-compassion, and achieve greater emotional stability, paving the way for deeper, more balanced relationships. Mindfulness and emotional regulation. Mindfulness is one of the most powerful tools you can use to regulate your emotions. It keeps you grounded in the present moment, which is especially important when anxiety starts to take over. By practicing mindfulness, you can observe your emotions from a distance instead of letting them control you. This allows you to respond to situations with calm and clarity. If you have an anxious attachment style, it is particularly important to learn how to separate your emotions from your sense of self. When intense feelings like anger or fear arise, mindfulness gives you the space to acknowledge these emotions without being overwhelmed by them. This separation helps you respond more thoughtfully and with greater emotional balance, making it easier to navigate your relationships with confidence and ease. Exercise. Practicing emotional separation. Let's dive into a powerful mindfulness exercise designed to help you separate your emotions from your identity. Often, when we feel strong emotions like anger or fear, we say things like, "I am angry," or "I am scared." This way of thinking can make those emotions feel overwhelming and all-consuming. But by changing how you talk to yourself, you can begin to loosen the grip these emotions have on you. Here's how to practice emotional separation. 1. Acknowledge the emotion. The next time you feel a strong emotion rising, pause and acknowledge it. Instead of saying, "I am angry," try saying, "I feel anger right now." This subtle shift creates some distance between you and the emotion, making it easier to observe rather than be consumed by it. 2. Describe the emotion. Take a moment to breathe deeply and notice how the emotion is manifesting in your body. Is your heart pounding? Are your muscles tense? By focusing on these physical sensations, you create even more space between yourself and the emotion, helping to reduce its intensity. 3. Observe without judgment. Practice simply observing the emotion without labeling it as good or bad. Just notice it as a temporary state that will eventually pass. Remind yourself, this is just a feeling, tea will not last forever. 4. Respond mindfully. Once you've created some distance between yourself and the emotion, choose how to respond. Ask yourself, what do I need right now to take care of myself? Whether it's taking a break, talking to someone, or engaging in a calming activity, respond to your needs with care and compassion. This exercise is especially useful for those with anxious attachment because it helps to lessen the emotional intensity that can often feel overwhelming. By creating this sense of separation between you and your emotions, you gain more control over your reactions, leading to calmer and more thoughtful interactions in your relationships. Exercise. 4-7-8. Breathing for calm. The 4-7-8 breathing for calm is a simple yet effective technique that can help reduce anxiety and promote relaxation. It's called relaxing breath because it follows a structured pattern where each phase, inhale, hold, and exhale, has a distinct duration, creating a rhythmic flow that naturally slows the heart rate and calms the nervous system. Steps 1. Inhale, breathe in slowly through your nose for a count of 4. 2. Hold. Hold your breath for a count of 7. 3. Exhale. Breathe out slowly through your mouth for a count of 8. 4. Repeat this cycle of 4, 7, 8 breathing times, focusing on your breath and counting silently in your mind. This practice helps you regain control over your breathing and calm your mind, making it easier to handle stressful situations. When you're dealing with anxious attachment, managing physical symptoms of anxiety is crucial. 4, 7, 8. Breathing helps interrupt the body's stress response, reducing the physiological symptoms that can escalate anxiety. By calming your body, you also create the conditions for a calmer mind, making it easier to approach situations with clarity and composure. Scan the QR code on page 57 or check the first pinned comment for the link to the guided meditation. Exercise 5-4-3-2-1 Grounding Technique. The 5-4-3-2-1 grounding technique is another powerful tool for reducing anxiety and staying present. It involves using your 5 senses to connect with your environment and divert your attention away from anxious thoughts. In your book, you'll find the full exercise written out. If you don't have it with you right now, just keep listening. I'll guide you through it. Steps with me. Let's start with 5 things you can see. Look around and name 5 things you can see. It could be the colors in the room, objects on your desk, or anything else in your environment. Now, move on to 4 things you can touch. Focus on 4 things you can physically touch. This could be the texture of your clothing, the feeling of your chair, or the surface of a nearby object. Great. Now shift your focus to 3 things you can hear. Listen and identify 3 sounds you can hear. It could be the sound of your breath, distant chatter, or the hum of an appliance. Almost there. Now notice 2 things you can smell. Take a moment to notice 2 things you can smell. If you're in a neutral environment, you might think of your favorite smells instead. And finally, 1 thing you can taste. Pay attention to 1 thing you can taste. This could be the lingering taste in your mouth or a sip of water. This technique helps interrupt spiraling thoughts by redirecting your focus to your immediate environment, effectively anchoring you in the present moment and reducing the power of anxious thoughts. When anxious thoughts spiral out of control, it can be hard to stay grounded in reality. The 5-4-3-2-1 technique is an effective way to interrupt these thought patterns by anchoring you in the present moment. Building a supportive network. Healing from anxious attachment involves more than just working on yourself. It's also about surrounding yourself with people who genuinely support and understand you. Often, when we are alone and struggling emotionally, our minds can start to wander, leading us to make speculations and create catastrophic thoughts. Having someone to rely on and to speak to offers us a more balanced and realistic perspective. By diversifying your connections, you reduce the risk of putting too much pressure on a single relationship. This way, your emotional well-being becomes more balanced and resilient, supported by a variety of meaningful relationships. It gives you a solid foundation, making you feel more secure and less dependent on any one person for your emotional needs. Exercise. Mapping your support network. Steps. First, list your supportive relationships. Start by listing the people in your life who offer you emotional support. This could include friends, family members, colleagues, or even a therapist. Think about who you can turn to in times of need. Second, identify the type of support they provide. Next to each person's name, write down the type of support they provide. Some people might be great listeners, while others might offer practical advice or help you see things from a different perspective. For example, Laura and Sam. You might write, Laura helps me when, or Sam is always there if. In your book, you'll find a helpful table to guide you through this exercise. Now that you've clarified your thoughts in this exercise, you can respond to the next questions in your book. But first, let's go through them together. Third, consider how you can strengthen these connections. Reflect on how you can maintain and strengthen these relationships. Could you reach out more often, express your appreciation, or offer support in return? Fourth, diversify your network. If you notice that you rely heavily on one person, think about how you can diversify your support network. Consider joining a support group, reconnecting with old friends, or seeking out new social opportunities. As a starting point, write down some ideas. Fear of losing the one person you rely on for support can intensify anxious attachment. By broadening your support network, you create a safety net that reduces the emotional burden on any single relationship. This not only enhances your sense of security, but also strengthens your overall resilience. Developing self-care practices. Self-care is a crucial part of healing from anxious attachment. It's about intentionally taking steps to care for your physical, emotional, and mental well-being. When you make self-care a priority, you build resilience and lessen the grip of anxiety on your daily life. These practices reconnect you with yourself, offering a sense of control and stability that helps counteract feelings of insecurity. Exercise. Creating a self-care routine. Write your responses as you go through each step. 1. Identify your self-care needs. Reflect on what you need to feel balanced and rejuvenated. Do you need more physical activity, creative outlets, relaxation, or social interaction? Make a list of activities that fulfill these needs. 2. Schedule regular self-care time. Self-care should be a regular part of your routine, not something you do only when you're feeling overwhelmed. Schedule specific times during the week for self-care activities, whether it's a yoga class, reading a book, or spending time in nature. You can organize your plan into 2 columns, one for activity and one for when. For example, activity. Journaling. When. Every morning from 6 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. Or activity. Yoga. When. Monday at 8 p.m. Self-defense. Friday with Laura at 6 p.m. 3. Combine physical and emotional self-care. Consider activities that address both your physical and emotional needs. For example, a walk in the park can be both a form of exercise and a way to clear your mind. Journaling can help you process emotions while also giving you a creative outlet. 4. Evaluate and adjust. Periodically evaluate your self-care routine to see what's working and what needs adjustment. Be flexible and willing to try new activities if your current routine isn't meeting your needs. Use the reflection and planning table in your book to structure your routine in a way that works best for you. 5. Build a habit. Creating a habit takes time, but consistency is what makes self-care truly effective. Small, repeated actions build the foundation for lasting change. Refer to the Build a Habit table in your book to create a sustainable routine that fits your lifestyle. Think of one small habit you can start today, something simple yet meaningful. Every big transformation begins with a single step. For someone with anxious attachment, self-care is essential for maintaining balance and avoiding burnout. Regularly engaging in activities that nurture your well-being strengthens your emotional resilience and helps keep anxiety at bay. A consistent self-care routine keeps you grounded and in tune with your needs, making it easier to navigate the challenges of relationships. Take your time with the exercises. Writing them down helps you commit to yourself and your growth. If you prefer, you can answer the questions instead of doing the exercises. When you're done, go to your book and answer the reflection questions using practical healing methods. These are the final questions of this chapter, where you've learned to take care of yourself. Chapter 6. Understanding and Navigating Detachment. You have to let go at some point in order to move forward. Clive Staples Lewis. Detachment in relationships and emotional well-being is a nuanced concept. It can act as a protective mechanism, but it can also create barriers to intimacy and connection. This chapter breaks down the complexities of detachment, helping you understand when it serves as a healthy boundary and when it turns into emotional avoidance that could harm your relationships. We'll also dive into practical strategies for cultivating healthy detachment, ensuring it supports your personal growth and enhances your relationships rather than holding you back. Understanding detachment. Detachment is the ability to step back emotionally from situations or relationships, allowing you to respond with greater objectivity and less emotional charge. It's about balancing your care for others with the need to maintain your own emotional health. When practiced well, detachment helps you manage your emotional responses, especially in stressful or intense situations. Healthy detachment. Healthy detachment is all about consciously separating your emotions from the actions or feelings of others. It empowers you to engage in relationships without losing your sense of self. This type of detachment is closely linked to emotional intelligence and self-care, where you maintain personal boundaries and avoid over-identifying with the emotional states of others. Imagine your partner comes home from a particularly stressful day at work, feeling frustrated and distant. Naturally, you want to support them, but instead of internalizing their stress or trying to fix their problems, you choose to acknowledge their feelings while keeping your emotional state intact. You might say, "I see you're stressed. If you want to talk about it, I'm here, but I also understand if you need some space." This response shows empathy and support while preserving your own emotional boundary. Healthy detachment requires self-awareness and the ability to recognize when your emotional involvement might do more harm than good. It's about being present and supportive without absorbing someone else's emotional turmoil. This balanced approach strengthens relationships by reducing codependency and allowing both partners to manage their emotional lives independently, yet together. Unhealthy detachment. On the flip side, unhealthy detachment involves emotional withdrawal and avoidance. People who engage in unhealthy detachment often disconnect from their own emotions and those of others, leading to a lack of intimacy and communication breakdowns. This type of detachment usually stems from fear of vulnerability, rejection, or emotional pain. For example, think of someone who, after a tough breakup, decides to emotionally shut down to avoid the pain of loss. They might avoid discussing their feelings, distance themselves from friends and family, and refuse to open up to new relationships. While this detachment might bring short-term relief, over time it can lead to loneliness, depression, and difficulty forming meaningful connections. Unhealthy detachment often originates from past traumas or negative experiences where emotional connection led to pain. Over time, people may start associating emotional closeness with potential harm, leading them to withdraw as a way to protect themselves. This behavior can turn into a cycle where detachment becomes the go-to response, making it hard to experience real intimacy or emotional satisfaction. Causes of unhealthy detachment. Unhealthy detachment is typically a learned behavior, often rooted in early life experiences. It can develop in environments where emotions were unsafe to express, or where vulnerability was met with punishment or neglect. Understanding what causes unhealthy detachment is crucial to recognizing and addressing it in your life. Children who grow up in emotionally unavailable households often learn to detach as a way to survive. If a child's emotional needs are consistently unmet or ignored, they may learn that it's safer not to express emotions at all. This detachment can carry into adulthood, where the person remains distant and aloof to guard against potential emotional pain. For others, detachment is a way to avoid vulnerability. This fear might come from past relationships, where being vulnerable led to rejection, betrayal, or emotional hurt. To avoid repeating these painful experiences, they might keep others at a distance, using detachment as a shield against potential harm. Unhealthy detachment can also develop as a way to cope with overwhelming emotions. When feelings become too intense or hard to handle, a person might detach as a means of escape. While this detachment may offer temporary relief, it often leads to long-term emotional numbness or disconnection. Impact of unhealthy detachment on relationships. Unhealthy detachment can deeply affect relationships, creating a void where communication, intimacy, and emotional support should thrive. If you're emotionally detached, your partner may feel isolated, misunderstood, and unloved because you might struggle to engage in meaningful emotional exchanges. Take, for instance, a marriage where one partner consistently avoids discussing crucial matters like finances or parenting. When the other partner tries to open up these conversations, they might be met with silence, deflection, or half-hearted engagement. Over time, these unaddressed issues can pile up, creating a wedge in the relationship that leads to resentment and growing emotional distance. But the impact of unhealthy detachment isn't limited to romantic relationships. It can spill over into friendships, family dynamics, and even professional settings. In friendships, detachment might make it difficult for you to offer support or share in the highs and lows of your friends' lives, leading to a sense of disconnect. At work, this detachment might show up as difficulty in teamwork or an inability to form collaborative relationships, which can hinder your career growth and job satisfaction. Mastering healthy detachment for balanced living. Healthy detachment is all about striking a balance, maintaining your emotional boundaries while staying engaged and connected in your relationships. It's about knowing when to step back to protect your well-being without completely withdrawing from those around you. One way to practice healthy detachment is through mindfulness and emotional regulation. Mindfulness helps you stay present and connected without letting your emotions or the emotions of others overwhelm you. Techniques like deep breathing, meditation, and grounding exercises can help you manage your emotional responses, allowing you to remain involved without getting emotionally flooded. Setting clear boundaries is another key to healthy detachment. This might mean communicating your needs and limits clearly, like letting others know when you need some alone time or when a conversation is becoming too intense. Boundaries are crucial. They protect your emotional health while still keeping you connected. Emotional independence and self-care also play vital roles in healthy detachment. Cultivating emotional independence means taking responsibility for your own feelings and well-being, rather than depending on others to fulfill all your emotional needs. This might involve developing a robust self-care routine, engaging in activities that bring you joy, and building a supportive social network. Healthy detachment isn't about pulling away from relationships. It's about engaging in them in a way that preserves your emotional well-being. It takes self-awareness, the ability to recognize when you're getting too emotionally involved, and the skills to step back without cutting off your emotional connections. By practicing healthy detachment, you can maintain strong, fulfilling relationships while also protecting your own mental and emotional health. Moving from unhealthy to healthy detachment. Transitioning from unhealthy detachment to healthy detachment is a journey of self-discovery, intentional action, and sometimes professional support. This process is about re-engaging with your emotions and relationships in a way that feels both safe and balanced. Start by increasing your self-awareness. Reflect on situations where you tend to detach and explore the fears or triggers behind this behavior. Understanding these patterns is the first step towards change. Next, take small, manageable steps to re-engage with your emotions. This might mean allowing yourself to feel and express emotions in safe environments, like with a trusted friend or in therapy. Over time, you can work towards expressing these emotions in more challenging situations. Building stronger relationships is also key. Focus on being more present and engaged with others. Practice active listening, show empathy, and be open about your feelings and needs. If unhealthy detachment feels deeply ingrained, seeking professional help can make a big difference. A therapist can help you explore the root causes of your detachment and develop healthier coping mechanisms. Therapy provides a safe space to practice emotional engagement and build emotional resilience. Shifting from unhealthy to healthy detachment is a process that requires patience, self-compassion, and a willingness to change. It's about learning to trust yourself and others again, and about finding ways to stay emotionally connected without losing your sense of self. This journey can lead to deeper, more fulfilling relationships and a greater sense of emotional well-being. All right, time to put your brain to work. Don't worry, no grades involved. You'll find the reflection questions, Healthy Detachment Finding Balance, in your book. Take a moment to answer them. They're the kind of questions that might just make you say, never thought of it that way. Chapter 7, Building Healthy Relationships. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Stephen R. Covey. Now that you've laid the groundwork for healing anxious attachment, it's time to bring those skills into your relationships. Healthy relationships thrive on mutual trust, respect, and clear communication, qualities that can be tough to nurture when anxiety is in the mix. This chapter is here to help you apply what you've learned, guiding you to build and sustain relationships that are both secure and fulfilling. Whether it's with a partner, friend, or family member, these relationships can become spaces where you practice your new skills and deepen your sense of connection. Every relationship you have is a chance to reinforce the progress you've made. By engaging with others more consciously and intentionally, you'll not only enhance your relationships, but also continue to heal and grow. Building mutual trust and respect. Trust and respect are the bedrock of any healthy relationship. But when you have anxious attachment, trusting others can feel like a big leap, often clouded by fears of abandonment or betrayal. Building mutual trust takes effort from both sides. It's about being consistent, reliable, and honest in your actions and words. Respect, on the other hand, is about truly seeing and valuing each other's boundaries, values, and individuality. Exercise. Building trust through open dialogue. A powerful way to cultivate trust and respect in a relationship is by having regular, honest conversations where both partners feel safe to share their thoughts and emotions without fear of judgment. This exercise will help you create a space for mutual understanding and trust to grow. Steps. First of all, choose the right moment. Pick a time when both you and your partner are calm and free from distractions. This way, you can fully engage in the conversation without feeling pressured or hurried. 2. Express your feelings. Start by sharing how you feel about the relationship. Use the I statements to communicate your emotions clearly, like, I feel appreciated when you take the time to listen to me, or I feel uneasy when we go long periods without talking. 3. Invite your partner to share. After you've expressed yourself, encourage your partner to share their feelings. Ask them what makes them feel secure in the relationship and what challenges they experience. 4. Collaborate on trust-building actions. Together, discuss practical steps you can both take to enhance trust. This might involve being more consistent with communication, keeping promises, or being more open about your needs and intentions. 5. Make it a regular practice. Trust isn't built in a single conversation. It's something that grows over time. Make it a habit to revisit these discussions regularly, ensuring that trust and respect continue to strengthen. By making open, honest dialogues a regular part of your relationship, you create an environment where trust can naturally develop. For someone with anxious attachment, This consistent and clear communication is essential for easing fears of abandonment and building a more secure and loving connection with your partner. Enhancing communication skills. Clear and effective communication is the foundation of strong, healthy relationships. It's essential for resolving conflicts, expressing your needs, and staying connected with those you care about. However, if you have an anxious attachment style, communication can sometimes be challenging. You might either become overly emotional or shut down completely. Developing more secure communication skills involves learning how to express your needs clearly, listen actively, and resolve conflicts in a constructive way. Exercise. Practicing assertive communication. This exercise is designed to help you practice expressing your needs and feelings in a clear, respectful, and assertive manner. The goal is to move away from passive or aggressive communication styles and towards a balanced approach that fosters understanding and connection. Steps 1. Reflect on a recent conflict. Think about a recent situation where communication didn't go as well as you'd hoped, whether it was with a partner, friend, or family member. Reflect on how you communicated your needs or feelings during that moment. 2. Reframe your communication. Consider how you could have communicated more assertively in that situation. For instance, instead of saying, "You never listen to me," try reframing it as, "I feel unheard when we don't take time to talk. Can we set aside some time to discuss this?" A powerful tool to assist with this is the Reframing Black and White Thinking exercise, which you'll find at the end of this chapter. This exercise can help you develop a more nuanced approach to expressing your thoughts. 3. Craft assertive statements. Write down a few assertive statements that you could use in similar situations. Focus on I statements that clearly express your feelings and needs without placing blame or criticizing the other person. Situation. Your partner frequently cancels plans at the last minute. Assertive statement. I feel disappointed when our plans are canceled at the last minute. I need more consistency in our plans to feel secure in our relationship. Situation. A friend often interrupts you when you're speaking. Assertive statement. I value our conversations, and I feel unheard when I'm interrupted. I would appreciate it if we could both make space to listen to each other fully. Situation. Your partner tends to downplay your feelings when you express them. Assertive statement. When my feelings are dismissed, I feel invalidated. It's important to me that we both acknowledge and respect each other's emotions. Situation. You need some time alone to recharge, but your partner wants to spend more time together. Assertive statement. I really enjoy spending time with you, but I also need some alone time to recharge. I hope you can understand and support that. Situation. You feel overwhelmed by the tasks you've taken on, but don't want to let anyone down. Assertive statement. I'm feeling overwhelmed with my current responsibilities. I need to step back and reduce my workload to manage everything effectively. In your book, you'll find the conflict reflection table, designed to help you break down past conflicts and improve your communication. Let's take a moment to reflect on how conflicts impact your emotions and interactions. This table is a simple yet powerful tool to help you process past conflicts and find better ways to express yourself. Start by identifying the people involved. Was it a partner, a friend, or a family member? Next, think about what happened. Describe the situation briefly. How did it make you feel? Were you frustrated, disappointed, or unheard? Then, focus on what you wish you had communicated. Instead of reacting emotionally, what could you have said to express yourself more assertively? For example, if you and your partner argued about who should clean the kitchen and you felt unheard, your assertive statement could be, I feel overwhelmed today. Can we share the task? And when thinking about what you can do next time, you might decide to take a deep breath and explain how you feel calmly. Next time, take your time to go through this in your book. The more you reflect, the more clarity you'll gain. Now it's your turn. I encourage you to keep track of your reflections. You might be surprised at how this simple table highlights patterns and helps you feel more in control of your emotions. Exercise. Reframing black and white thinking. This exercise is designed to help you move away from extreme all-or-nothing thinking and embrace a more balanced, realistic perspective. By learning to reframe these thoughts, you can lower your anxiety, enhance communication, and create a more secure and stable attachment in your relationships. Steps. First, spot the extreme thought. The first step is to catch yourself when you're falling into black and white thinking. This usually happens when you're stressed or facing conflict. For instance, you might think, "My partner didn't text me back right away. They must not care about me anymore." Second question, the thought. Once you've identified the extreme thought, challenge it. Ask yourself, is it really true that my partner doesn't care, or could there be another reason for the delay? 3. Find the middle ground. Look for the gray areas between the extremes. Instead of thinking, "My partner doesn't care at all," try considering, "Maybe my partner is busy, or perhaps they're dealing with something important. It doesn't mean they don't care about me." 4. Reframe the thought. Turn the black and white thought into a more balanced statement. For example, instead of thinking, "My partner is ignoring me," reframe it as, "My partner didn't respond right away, but that doesn't mean they don't value our relationship." 5. Reflect on the difference. Notice how this new way of thinking impacts your emotions. Does it reduce your anxiety? Do you feel more open to understanding your partner's perspective and communicating more effectively? In your book, you'll find the black and white thinking table, a simple yet eye-opening exercise to help you recognize and reframe rigid thought patterns. When we experience anxiety, it's easy to fall into all-or-nothing thinking, seeing things in extremes without considering the middle ground. This table helps you identify those automatic, rigid thoughts and replace them with a more balanced, realistic perspective. Start by noticing when you're thinking in absolutes. Do you catch yourself using phrases like always or never? Are small setbacks making you feel like everything is falling apart? For example, Jordan believed that if their partner didn't say, "I love you" every day, it meant they were falling out of love. But in reality, love isn't measured by daily words. It's shown in different ways, through actions and consistency. Emily thought that a single disagreement meant her relationship was doomed. But the truth is, healthy relationships include disagreements. Working through them can actually make a bond stronger. Riley and Jamie assumed that not being invited to a gathering meant their friend didn't want to be around them anymore. But there could be many reasons for it. Maybe it was a small event, maybe plans changed, or maybe it wasn't personal at all. By shifting from extreme thoughts to more balanced perspectives, you train your mind to see situations with greater clarity and reduce unnecessary stress. In your book, you'll find the black and white thinking table, a simple yet eye-opening exercise to help you recognize and reframe rigid thought patterns. When we experience anxiety, it's easy to fall into all-or-nothing thinking, seeing things in extremes without considering the middle ground. This table helps you identify those automatic, rigid thoughts and replace them with a more balanced, realistic perspective. Start by noticing when you're thinking in absolutes. Do you catch yourself using phrases like always or never? Are small setbacks making you feel like everything is falling apart? For example, Jordan believed that if their partner didn't say, "I love you" every day, it meant they were falling out of love. But in reality, love isn't measured by daily words. It's shown in different ways, through actions and consistency. Emily thought that a single disagreement meant her relationship was doomed. But the truth is, healthy relationships include disagreements. Working through them can actually make a bond stronger. Riley and Jamie assumed that not being invited to a gathering meant their friend didn't want to be around them anymore. but there could be many reasons for it. Maybe it was a small event, maybe plans changed, or maybe it wasn't personal at all. By shifting from extreme thoughts to more balanced perspectives, you train your mind to see situations with greater clarity and reduce unnecessary stress. Take a moment to go through this table in your book and reflect on your own experiences. Are there any black and white thoughts you've been holding on to? Challenge them, reframe them, and see how your perspective shifts. Navigating romantic relationships. Romantic relationships often stir the deepest emotions and attachment behaviors. If you have an anxious attachment style, the fear of abandonment can manifest as clinginess, jealousy, or a constant need for reassurance. Learning to manage these emotions while building a healthy, balanced relationship is essential for overcoming anxious attachment in a romantic context. Now, to wrap up Chapter 7 in the best way possible, grab your pen and make these final reflections count. This is your moment to turn insights into action. In your book, you'll find the exercise, Balancing Closeness with Healthy Space. Let's explore how to create a relationship dynamic that feels secure and fulfilling for both you and your partner. And since you're already in writing mode, keep going with the next exercise, Communicating Needs Without Anxiety. This will help you express what you truly need in your relationship without fear or hesitation. Chapter 8. Long-term Strategies for Maintaining Progress. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy goal or ideal. Earl Nightingale. Healing isn't a one-time event. It's a continuous journey that requires dedication, self-awareness, and a commitment to growth. The insights and tools you've gathered throughout this book have set you on the right path, but the real transformation comes from how you integrate these strategies into your daily life over the long haul. In this chapter, you'll explore strategies for maintaining and building on the progress you've made. These long-term approaches will help ensure that the positive changes you've worked so hard to achieve become a lasting part of who you are. By embracing these practices, you'll pave the way toward ongoing emotional security, deeper relationships, and a more balanced, fulfilling life. Continuing self-awareness and growth. Self-awareness is the bedrock of your healing journey. As you've progressed, you've gained a deeper understanding of your attachment style, your emotional triggers, and how your past has shaped your current relationships. As you move forward, it's essential to keep nurturing this self-awareness so it can continue guiding your decisions and interactions. To keep your self-awareness sharp, carve out regular time each week for reflection. Whether you journal, meditate, or simply take a moment to sit quietly with your thoughts, consistent self-reflection will help you stay in tune with your emotions and recognize patterns that might need tweaking. Consider asking yourself questions like, what emotions have dominated my week? Or, how have I handled challenges in my relationships? These reflections will keep you connected to your inner journey and ensure your growth continues. Celebrating your progress is just as important. Recognize and honor every achievement, no matter how small. Whether you write a letter to your future self, create a vision board, or take a peaceful walk in nature, find ways to celebrate your milestones. These rituals remind you of your resilience and keep you motivated to continue your journey. Managing emotional setbacks. No matter how committed you are, there will be times when you face setbacks or moments of heightened anxiety. Remember, setbacks are a normal part of the healing process and don't negate the progress you've made. The key is to manage these moments with compassion and resilience, viewing them as opportunities to reinforce your growth rather than allowing them to derail you. When a setback occurs, start by acknowledging it without judgment. Understand that experiencing a setback doesn't mean you've failed, it means you're human. Approach yourself with kindness, reminding yourself that healing is a journey filled with highs and lows. Next, identify the trigger behind the setback. reflect on what caused your emotional reaction. Was it a specific event, thought, or interaction? Pinpointing the trigger helps you address the underlying issue rather than just its symptoms. Once you've identified the trigger, shift your perspective by asking, "What can I learn from this?" Or, "How can this setback make me stronger?" This reframing helps turn challenges into growth opportunities. Finally, reconnect with the tools you've learned throughout this book. Whether it's practicing mindfulness, engaging in self-care, or using assertive communication, these techniques are there to support you. By returning to these practices, you empower yourself to handle challenges effectively and keep moving forward on your journey. Seeking professional support. While this book has equipped you with valuable tools and strategies, there may come a time when seeking professional support is necessary to further your healing journey. Therapy, counseling, or coaching can provide personalized guidance, helping you navigate the complex emotions and experiences that might be challenging to tackle on your own. If you're considering additional support, start by reflecting on the areas where you feel most challenged. Whether you're struggling with managing anxiety, improving relationships, or processing past trauma, professional help can offer the targeted assistance you need to make deeper progress. Begin by researching different types of professional support, such as therapy, counseling, or coaching. Consider which approach might be most beneficial for your specific needs. Look for professionals who have experience and credentials in dealing with attachment issues or the particular challenges you're facing. You can seek recommendations from trusted friends, family, or online communities to help you find a professional who's the right fit. Before you commit to ongoing sessions, it's wise to schedule an initial consultation. This gives you the opportunity to ask questions about their approach and to assess how well they align with your goals. Once you've found the right professional, commit fully to the process, understanding that healing through professional support is a journey that requires time and effort, but can lead to profound insights and lasting progress. Celebrating your progress and successes. Recognizing and celebrating your progress is crucial for sustaining your healing journey. Reflecting on how far you've come not only reinforces your achievements, but also fuels your motivation to keep moving forward. Each milestone, no matter how small, is a testament to your dedication and growth. Create a personal ritual that feels meaningful to you. You might start a success journal to document every breakthrough, design a piece of art that symbolizes your journey, or treat yourself to a special self-care day whenever you reach a significant goal. You could also share your achievements with a close friend who has supported your growth. The key is to find a way to celebrate that resonates with you personally. These celebrations serve as powerful reminders of the positive changes you've made, inspiring you to continue on your path toward a more secure and fulfilling life. Creating a personalized healing plan. To make sure the progress you've achieved stays with you for the long haul, it's essential to create a personalized healing plan. Think of this plan as your roadmap for continued growth, detailing the practices, goals, and support systems that will help you stay on track. Start by reflecting on your journey up to this point. Consider the strategies and techniques that have been most effective for you, and recognize the challenges you've successfully navigated. Use these insights to set long-term goals that align with the growth you want to maintain. Whether your focus is on nurturing healthy relationships, managing anxiety more effectively, or deepening your self-awareness, your goals should reflect the progress you've made and the areas you want to continue developing. Integrate the practices that have supported your healing into your daily routine. Whether it's mindfulness, self-reflection, communication skills, or a consistent self-care routine, these practices should become habits that sustain your long-term well-being. By making these techniques a regular part of your life, you reinforce the positive changes you've worked so hard to achieve, ensuring they become a permanent part of who you are. Finally, build a support system that will help you maintain your progress. This could involve continuing therapy, nurturing supportive relationships, or connecting with communities that share your commitment to growth. Surrounding yourself with the right support will keep you grounded and focused as you continue your healing journey. Exercise. Seek first to understand. This exercise is designed to help you reflect on the strategies that have been most effective for you and to outline a clear path for maintaining and deepening your growth. By taking the time to develop this plan, you'll ensure that the positive changes you've worked so hard to achieve will remain an enduring part of your life. Step 1. Reflect on your journey. Objective. Look back on the progress you've made. Identify which strategies have been most effective and the challenges you've overcome. Example. You found mindfulness and journaling to be essential in managing your anxiety and improving self-awareness. You've also worked on challenging black and white thinking, which has helped reduce the intensity of your emotional reactions. Step 2. Set long-term goals. Objective. Set clear and achievable long-term goals based on your reflections, aligning with the growth areas you've identified. Example, Goal 1. Strengthen emotional resilience through emotional six-pack exercises, such as regularly challenging black and white thinking and practicing emotional regulation techniques. Goal 2. Maintain a balanced perspective by continuing to distance yourself from overly intense emotions, allowing you to respond more calmly and rationally in challenging situations. Goal 3. Continue improving communication by regularly discussing emotions with your partner, focusing on avoiding extreme, all-or-nothing statements. Step 3. Integrate healing practices into your daily routine. Objective. Make the strategies that have worked for you a regular part of your life, ensuring they become ingrained habits. Example, mindfulness. Begin each day with a short mindfulness meditation, focusing on grounding yourself and setting a positive tone for the day. Emotional six-pack exercises. Just as you would exercise to maintain physical fitness, incorporate daily practices that strengthen your emotional resilience. This might include brief daily reflections where you challenge any black and white thinking that arises, deliberately considering more balanced perspectives. Emotional distancing. Practice maintaining a healthy distance from intense emotions by using techniques like deep breathing or stepping back to observe your feelings without judgment. This helps you avoid becoming overwhelmed and reacting impulsively. Step 4. Build and maintain a support system. Objective. Surround yourself with the people and resources that will support your ongoing growth. Example, continued therapy. Schedule regular check-ins with your therapist to discuss your progress and any new challenges that arise. Supportive relationships. Cultivate relationships that encourage your healing journey. This might involve joining a support group focused on attachment styles, or regularly spending time with friends who understand and respect your need for growth. Community engagement. Engage with online communities or local groups that share your commitment to emotional health. These connections can offer new perspectives and reinforce your dedication to your goals. Step 5. Regularly review and adjust your plan. Objective. Periodically assess your healing plan to ensure it's still aligned with your needs and goals. Example, monthly reflections. At the end of each month, take some time to reflect on your progress. Are the six-pack exercises and mindfulness practices helping you maintain emotional balance? Are you noticing a decrease in black and white thinking? If any areas of your plan aren't working as well as you'd hoped, consider adjusting them. Celebrating successes. Recognize and celebrate the milestones you've reached, no matter how small. This reinforces your commitment to the process and motivates you to keep going. By creating and following a personalized healing plan like this, you'll have a structured approach to maintaining the progress you've worked so hard to achieve. This plan not only keeps you on track, but also adapts to your evolving needs, ensuring that your journey towards secure attachment and emotional well-being continues long into the future. As always, you're mastering connection. Seek First to Understand table is ready for you in the book. Take your time to fill it in and make these insights truly yours. Unfolding the path to a healing conclusion. What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Healing from anxious attachment is a continuous journey. You've taken significant steps in understanding how attachment styles have influenced your relationships, learned practical techniques for emotional regulation, and cultivated a deeper awareness of your needs. This process, while challenging, has brought you closer to becoming the person you are truly meant to be, someone capable of both giving and receiving love in a healthy, secure way. Throughout this book, you've gained the tools to manage the anxiety that often arises in your relationships. By understanding where these feelings come from, you've started to break free from the cycle of fear and insecurity that once dominated your interactions. The journey isn't about erasing your past, but about learning to move forward with compassion and awareness. Each step, whether it involves mindfulness, boundary setting, or reflection, has been a part of building the foundation for a more secure and fulfilling future. It's important to remember that healing is not a linear process. There will be moments when old patterns resurface, or when anxiety feels overwhelming again. But now, you have the skills to face these moments differently. You can pause, reflect, and apply the strategies you've learned to respond with kindness toward yourself. Each challenge you face is an opportunity to deepen your growth and strengthen your emotional resilience. This journey is not about achieving a perfect state of being, but about consistently showing up for yourself in a way that fosters emotional security. You've learned to recognize your triggers, to understand your attachment style, and to nurture relationships that are based on trust and mutual respect. As you continue on this path, keep building on the progress you've made, knowing that each small victory is meaningful. Moving forward, let compassion guide you. Healing isn't about pushing through the difficult moments. It's about allowing yourself the grace to experience them fully, without judgment. As you embrace your journey, know that there is no right or wrong way to heal, only what works for you. Trust in the tools you've developed and the strength you've discovered within yourself. Your journey doesn't end here. This is just another step toward deeper connections, greater joy, and lasting emotional security. Continue to build on the foundation you've laid, with the confidence that you are moving toward a life that reflects your truest self. Bonus chapter: Understanding the Traits of an Avoidant Partner. The avoidance of love is a defense, a way to shield ourselves from pain, but it also closes us off to joy. Bell Hooks. Avoidant attachment is a complex, deeply rooted relational style that can present significant challenges in relationships. People with this attachment style often develop strategies to keep others at a distance, primarily to protect themselves from perceived threats of rejection, loss of control, or vulnerability. To understand these traits fully, it's important to explore both their behaviors and the underlying psychological mechanisms. 1. Emotional distance and attachment. Avoidant individuals often maintain emotional distance as a defining characteristic. This behavior goes beyond simply being reserved. It's a conscious effort to avoid engaging deeply in emotional conversations or sharing vulnerable feelings. This detachment serves as a protective strategy to maintain control and steer clear of the discomfort that emotional intimacy can bring. Imagine you've had a particularly tough day, feeling overwhelmed and emotionally drained. You come home, hoping to share your feelings with your partner and find comfort. However, instead of offering support, they might say something like, "Why don't you just relax and not think about it?" Or they might change the subject to something less emotionally charged, like work or a trivial daily task. In this situation, the avoidant partner's response can feel dismissive or invalidating, leaving you feeling even more isolated. Their emotional detachment is a defense mechanism, often rooted in past experiences where expressing emotions led to rejection or indifference. If, as children, they were in environments where their emotional needs were consistently unmet, perhaps due to emotionally unavailable, critical, or overwhelmed caregivers, they may have learned to suppress their emotions as a way to cope. Over time, this suppression becomes a habitual way of interacting with others, making emotional distance their default mode in relationships. 2. Reluctance to commit. Another common trait of avoidant individuals is their struggle with commitment. This isn't because they don't value their relationships, but rather because they fear the emotional investment that comes with commitment. To them, commitment can feel like a trap, a situation where they might lose their independence or be forced to confront emotional needs they prefer to avoid. Consider a scenario where you've been dating your partner for a significant amount of time, and naturally, the topic of moving in together arises. While you're enthusiastic about the idea, your partner seems hesitant, offering reasons like, "I just think we're good where we are now," or "Why complicate things when they're working well as they are?" This reluctance to commit doesn't necessarily mean your partner doesn't care. Instead, it reflects their internal struggle with the idea of emotional dependency. The thought of deeper commitment can trigger fears of losing autonomy, which, for an avoidant person, is often equated with losing their identity. For avoidant individuals, commitment often equates to vulnerability. In their minds, committing to a relationship might mean opening themselves up to potential emotional pain or loss. This fear often stems from early relational experiences where emotional closeness was either lacking or associated with negative outcomes, such as abandonment or enmeshment. To protect themselves, they tend to avoid situations where they feel pressured to commit, preferring instead to maintain control over their emotional world. 3. Strong need for independence. For avoidant individuals, independence isn't just important, it's essential. They often prioritize their autonomy so highly that it becomes a barrier to intimacy, making it difficult for them to fully engage in a partnership. Real-life scenario. Imagine your partner frequently chooses activities that don't include you, whether it's solo hiking trips, spending long hours at the gym, or immersing themselves in a book or hobby alone. While you understand the value of personal space, you can't shake the feeling that they're distancing themselves from you. When you voice your desire to spend more time together, their response might be, "I just need my space to recharge," or "It's nothing personal, I just enjoy my own company." This scenario reflects the deep-seated need for autonomy that characterizes avoidant partners. Their actions are not necessarily about their feelings toward you, but rather about preserving their sense of self, which they may perceive as threatened by too much closeness. The need for independence often originates from a fear of losing control over their lives. This fear is frequently rooted in childhood experiences, where they might have been either overly controlled by caregivers or left to navigate their emotions on their own. These early experiences foster a strong sense of self-reliance, which now serves as a protective barrier against emotional dependency. To maintain this independence, avoidant individuals may create distance in their relationships, particularly when they sense that their autonomy is at risk. 4th, difficulty expressing affection. Expressing affection can be a significant challenge for avoidant individuals. It's not that they don't feel affection, rather, showing it makes them feel vulnerable. Physical touch, verbal affirmations, and emotional declarations are often avoided or downplayed because they threaten the emotional defenses they've built over time. Real-life scenario. You might notice that in social settings, your partner avoids public displays of affection like holding hands or hugging. Even in private, when you initiate physical closeness, they might respond, but rarely take the lead. Verbal expressions of love, such as saying, "I love you," might be infrequent, with them opting for less direct expressions like, "You mean a lot to me." This difficulty in expressing affection can easily be misinterpreted as disinterest or emotional coldness. However, for the avoidant partner, these behaviors are more about maintaining emotional safety than about a lack of feeling. The reluctance to express affection often traces back to early life experiences where showing emotions was either discouraged or met with indifference. In such environments, the child learns to protect themselves by minimizing displays of affection, which feels like exposing their emotional vulnerability. As adults, avoidant individuals continue to guard themselves from the perceived dangers of vulnerability by keeping their emotions and affections tightly controlled. 5. Avoidance of conflict. Avoidant individuals often see conflict as a major threat, not just because it's uncomfortable, but because it can force them to confront deeper emotional issues. To sidestep this discomfort, they might shut down, withdraw, or change the subject, leaving their partners feeling unheard and unresolved. Real-life scenario. Imagine you've been noticing a recurring issue in your relationship, like differing expectations about the time you spend together. Hoping to discuss it and find a solution, you bring it up with your partner. Instead of engaging, they might say, "I don't want to argue about this," or they might simply walk away, leaving the issue unresolved. Over time, these unresolved conflicts can build up tension and resentment, even if your partner doesn't openly acknowledge it. For an avoidant partner, avoiding conflict is a way to maintain emotional equilibrium. However, this avoidance doesn't solve problems. It allows them to fester, eventually undermining the stability of the relationship. Avoidance of conflict often stems from a deep fear of emotional upheaval. Many avoidant individuals grew up in environments where conflict led to rejection, punishment, or emotional pain. To protect themselves, they learn to avoid conflict at all costs, even if it means sacrificing their own needs or the health of the relationship. This avoidance can become a significant barrier to resolving issues and building a stronger, more connected partnership. Conclusion on navigating the avoidant relationship. Understanding the traits of an avoidant partner is crucial for successfully navigating the complexities of your relationship. It requires patience, empathy, and the realization that their behaviors are deeply rooted in past experiences and self-protective mechanisms. By recognizing these traits and the fears behind them, you can approach the relationship with more compassion and strategic thinking. Strategies for dealing with an avoidant partner. Dealing with an avoidant partner requires a thoughtful approach that respects their need for independence while also addressing your own needs for connection and intimacy. Here are some strategies to help you navigate these challenges. From this point on, we're moving into the final exercises of the book. Practical strategies to help you apply everything you've learned. To get the most out of them, grab your book now. I'll read each exercise for you so you can follow along. When I prompt you, feel free to pause the audio and take your time to reflect and write down your answers. Ready? Let's begin. Exercise. Respect their need for space. Avoidant partners highly value their independence and can feel suffocated by too much closeness. It's essential to respect their need for space without pressuring them into emotional engagement. Balance is key when dealing with an avoidant partner. Give them the space they need, while also clearly communicating your own needs for closeness. You might say, "I understand that you need some time to yourself after a long day. I also value our time together, so maybe we can plan to spend some quality time this weekend." Write down 3 examples of situations in your relationship where you need to balance your needs with your avoidant partner's desire for independence and space. Take a deep breath, grab your pen, and pause the audio as needed to complete this step. Welcome back. Let's dive into the next exercise. Exercise. Avoid forcing emotional conversations. Pushing an avoidant partner into emotional discussions when they're not ready can lead to shutdowns or withdrawal. Instead, create an environment where they feel safe to open up at their own pace. Use I statements. Communicate your feelings using I statements to invite them into the conversation without making them feel cornered. Example: I've been feeling a bit distant from you lately, and it's making me anxious. I'd like to talk about it when you're ready. This is your moment to put these ideas into practice. Feel free to pause the audio and take your time to write down your answers. All right, let's see what's next. Exercise. Reinforce positive behaviors. It's important to acknowledge and reinforce any positive steps your avoidant partner takes toward emotional openness or intimacy. This encouragement can help them lower their defenses gradually. Example: if your partner shares something personal with you, respond with appreciation. Thank you for sharing that with me. It means a lot that you trust me with your feelings. Be patient and consistent. Building trust with an avoidant partner takes time. Patience and consistency in your behavior are crucial, while rushing the process or expressing frustration with their pace can cause setbacks. Example: instead of demanding frequent emotional check-ins, model the behavior you wish to see. Regularly share your own feelings without expecting immediate reciprocation. Over time, your partner may feel more comfortable opening up. Exercise. Cultivating patience in emotional connection. In this exercise, I'll guide you through a series of questions. After each one, you'll have some time to reflect and write down your answers. No need to pause manually. I'll leave space for you to respond before moving on. Take your time and let your thoughts flow naturally. Step 1. Identify your expectations. What situations make you feel impatient in the relationship? What do you expect from your partner when it comes to emotional expression? Step 2. Practice modeling. Secure communication. Write a sentence you would use to share your feelings without expecting an immediate response. Example: I had a tough day and I'm feeling a bit down. I just wanted to share that with you. Step 3. Observe without judgment. Over the next few days, pay attention to how your partner reacts when you share your emotions. Did they respond differently than before? Have you noticed any small signs of increased openness? Step 4. Track your own growth. Write down a moment when you chose to be patient and consistent without pushing for a response. How did it feel to do that? What changes have you noticed in your dynamic? As you can see, I haven't prepared a table for this exercise. In the past, I tried using one, but it made the process less effective. For a more fluid approach, I recommend focusing on analyzing your reactions and understanding how you feel. A table could limit this process by creating constraints instead of allowing natural reflection. This exercise is about internal exploration rather than tracking behaviors, so it's more effective when done in a free-flowing way. What's truly important to you? You've come this far, and now you understand yourself and your emotions better. Use this space to put your thoughts into words. Now that you've taken time to reflect, let's move on to the next step. Seek professional help when needed. Sometimes, navigating a relationship with an avoidant partner can become too challenging to handle on your own. Seeking help from a therapist, especially one who understands attachment styles, can be invaluable. Navigating a relationship with an avoidant partner can be challenging, but with understanding, patience, and the right strategies, it's possible to build a fulfilling and balanced partnership. Respecting your partner's need for space while clearly communicating your own needs can help create a dynamic where both partners feel valued and understood. Remember, change takes time, and building trust is a gradual process. By consistently applying these strategies with compassion, you can create a stronger, more resilient relationship. Reflection questions. Building trust and understanding. All right, this one's on you. I won't read all the questions because some things are meant to be done in peace, with a pen in hand and no one rushing you. So stop the audio now, open your book, and take your time. I'll be here when you're ready. After reflecting on your own needs, it's time to think about how you can nurture emotional intimacy with your partner while still respecting their space. Exercise. Building a connection bridge. The goal of this exercise is to create a strategy with your partner to gradually build more emotional intimacy while respecting their need for space. This could involve setting aside time for open conversations, planning activities you both enjoy, or agreeing on small, consistent gestures of affection that feel comfortable for both of you. Write down some insights. Let your thoughts flow freely. There's no right or wrong, just write down whatever comes to mind. You've done the work, and now it's time to bring everything together. Let's take a look at how this journey has shaped you and where you go from here. Moving forward towards secure attachment. Final thoughts. When you know yourself, you are empowered. When you accept yourself, you are invincible. Tina Lifford. As you reach this point in the book, take a deep breath and recognize the immense progress you've made. You've delved into the complexities of anxious attachment, uncovered its roots, and identified the patterns that have influenced your relationships. More importantly, you now have a toolkit filled with practical exercises and strategies to help you cultivate security, trust, and emotional well-being in your life. This book is more than just a collection of ideas. It's a roadmap for your journey toward healing and growth. Each chapter has been crafted with care, offering you not only knowledge, but also tangible actions you can take. The exercises and reflection questions are designed to be your companions on this journey, guiding you to engage deeply with the material and make it your own. Remember, healing doesn't follow a straight path. There will be highs and lows, moments of breakthrough, and times of uncertainty. Approach this process with patience and kindness toward yourself. Celebrate each small victory and view setbacks as just another part of the journey. They are opportunities to learn and grow as you move closer to a more secure and fulfilling life. As you continue to integrate these lessons into your daily life, you'll start to notice shifts, not just in your relationships, but within yourself. You'll become more adept at managing anxiety, articulating your needs, and setting boundaries that honor your well-being. With time, these practices will become a natural part of who you are, leading to deeper, healthier connections with others. If this book has spoken to you, I invite you to share your thoughts by leaving a review. Your insights can guide others who are on a similar path and contribute to the broader conversation about attachment and emotional health. Reviews are a powerful way to help others discover the tools they need to grow and heal. Thank you for choosing this book to accompany you on your journey. May the insights and tools you've gained here continue to support you as you create the secure, loving relationships you truly deserve. Author's note: in the process of letting go, you will lose many things from the past, but you will find yourself. Deepak Chopra. This book is deeply personal to me. I've walked the same path many of you are on, learning to navigate anxious attachment and striving for healthier, more secure relationships. The emotions, the doubts, and the moments of feeling lost, these are all experiences I've known firsthand. That's why, as you've read through these pages, I hope you've felt a sense of connection, knowing that this journey is not one you're navigating alone. Relationships can bring challenges, and anxious attachment can make those challenges feel overwhelming. But the fact that you're here, reading this, shows a commitment to healing. While the chapters have been full of practical advice and techniques, I hope you've allowed yourself the space to approach them in a way that feels right for you. Healing isn't a one-size-fits-all process. It's deeply personal and unique to each of us. What resonates for one person might not for another, and that's completely okay. The important thing is finding the tools that work for you and help you make meaningful progress on your path. Healing isn't about fixing anything that's broken. You are not broken. It's about understanding the layers of your emotions and how your past has shaped your present. With that understanding, you can begin to rewrite your story in a way that honors your growth and strength. The journey toward emotional security and growth isn't a straight line. There will be moments of doubt or setbacks, and that's part of the process. Every step, even the small ones, matters. As you continue on your journey, I encourage you to revisit the workbook exercises and reflect on your progress. Sometimes, fresh insights come when you go through these exercises again, especially as you grow. The more you engage with the material, the deeper your understanding will become. Don't hesitate to return to parts of the book that resonated with you. Healing takes time, and revisiting these ideas can help reinforce your progress. If you found this book helpful, consider writing a short review or sharing your thoughts. You never know who might be going through similar challenges, and your words could offer someone the encouragement they need to start their own healing process. Sharing your perspective could make a big difference for others seeking support. Remember, this is your journey, and there's no rush. Take your time, do the exercises, reflect, and give yourself the space to heal at your own pace. I hope this book, along with the tools you've gained from it, continues to support you as you move forward. Thank you for allowing me to be part of your journey, wishing you strength, growth, and peace. To close this journey, I invite you to keep a personal journal. So I'll leave you with these words from Christina Baldwin. Keeping a journal is not just about documenting your days, but about discovering who you are beneath them. This is why in your notes you have a space entirely for yourself. Use it to note down thoughts, ideas, or personal reflections as you explore the techniques in this book. Let it become part of your journey toward deeper self-awareness and emotional peace.